let's move to the MayJune paper for O levels, and it's paper 1 variant 2. Okay, MayJune 22 paper 1 variant 2. Okay, it has a similar questions. You would find many similar questions. Okay, there are some questions which are not part of syllabus now, but let's do it. Okay, number 1, again, starch and cell wall. There is an iodine test given which would show a positive test or a negative test, or both would show positive or both would show negative. What do you think? So correct. So there is a negative test for cell wall as it doesn't contain any starch, while the starch grain would show positive test. So the correct answer is C. Right. Xylem vessels are cells that have become adapted for conduction and support. Which two adaptations, assist them in these functions: for conduction and for support? Lack of cytoplasm and woody cell wall. Correct. Okay. And why it doesn't has any like cytoplasm? So the cells shouldn't be able to absorb any water that is being transported. What is diffusion? Mhm. It's down a concentration gradient from high concentration to low concentration. Okay. A graph is given for the absorption of root hair cells at different soil nitrate concentrations. Okay. Starting from 0. Which graph show the rate of absorption varies with nitrate concentration in soil? Like as the concentration increases, the absorption also increases. Simple. It's gonna be A. It's gonna be A. Listen, it's gonna be A because first thing it needs to start from 0. X is the limiting factor over here. As the nitrate concentration increases, the rate of absorption also increases, right? For this, why B is incorrect? Because at this point it's becoming stationary. So this isn't justifying our statement. Okay. Okay. Next question is amylase is an enzyme that breaks down starch to maltose. So according to this, which graph would you expect the student to draw for the result? And the result is after 30 minutes, they check how much amount of starch remained left. It should be C. The amount of starch would decrease with time if they've given enzyme activity over here, then you would use A graph. And this point after 40 where it's increasing, it means it's showing the denaturation of enzyme. There was more similar questions in past paper like these graphs. There are many. Okay, which statement identifies the optimum temperature for enzyme activity? How would you define, or how would you identify the optimum temperature? It's D. It is a temperature that produces the highest rate of enzyme activity. The others are not correct at all. Okay. A plant is there, or sorry, a leaf is given. It has a white area, it has a green area. So some part of the green area is covered with aluminum foil, means they are giving the concept of that this part is not receiving any light, and after 24 hours they tested it with iodine. Which part would show positive test for iodine? Why only? Because it's the green part is producing starch, and Z won't produce any starch because it's not receiving any light. Okay, which row shows the effect of nitrate ions on plant growth? D. So nitrate produces protein, and protein helps to increase the growth. So The growth would increase as there are more proteins. Okay, which mineral is for the chlorophyll? Magnesium. And what is the deficiency of magnesium called? Chlorosis. Okay. Really? Okay. Okay. Next question is about a whisking tubing experiment. Okay, a partially permeable membrane is given, and inside it we have starch and we have amylase. So definitely amylase is going to break starch into a smaller pieces that move out over here. Let's say glucose move out of it because it's a partially permeable membrane, and they have written that it is not permeable to starch or protein, but it is permeable to sugar. So simple sugar would move out. So which test that they carry out three tests, which test would be positive or which test would be negative? Hmm. It's a protein. It's a protein. Hmm. And it isn't coming out of the partially permeable membrane. It stays over there. It's not in the beaker. Binary test would be positive because of this glucose. Okay. Butyric test would be negative. Bec- Wait, what is the negative test for blue? Again, what is the negative test of iodine? Hmm. So that would move out, na? Let's say it's a simple sugar, it would move out. It's a reducing sugar. Simple sugar mean reducing sugar. Even if it's maltose, it moves out. It's a reducing sugar, and we use Benedict test for reducing sugars. Okay. Okay. Sometimes gallbladder become infected and have to be surgically removed. So which function would be affected? Okay, what is the function of this gallbladder? Bile. And what is the function of bile? Fats. What is the name of process? Emulsification. Okay. So exactly, lesser glycerol is produced, there would be lesser absorption of glycerol as well. Okay. What is an example of assimilation? Wait, there are five processes: ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation, egestion. Now tell me. Building of protein from amino acid. Okay, breakdown. This one is digestion. This one is absorption. This one is not related to the assimilation, mean when smaller molecule join together to make a bigger molecule. So amino acids, you don't know. Okay, now you know. Okay. Smaller molecules into a bigger one. Okay. A student set up experiment to investigate the rate of transpiration in a plant. Okay. So what do you think? What would happen to the mass? Would it increase or decrease over time? If it's placed in a bright room, first of all, tell me whether the mass would increase or decrease. The mass would decrease. And what would happen in darkness? Would be same. So according to this, which graph is correct? No. Look, it's A. Some of the water may be used in some other activities, right? Like photosynthesis, but it won't transpire. There is no photosynthesis, there is no transpiration, maybe. Oh, wait, transpiration is there, but bright light is not there. Hmm. So, bright light is also consuming it for photosynthesis, right? So, there would be more decrease in that. What is the main cause of water moving up the leaves in the xylem vessels? Of the mesophyll cells. So, this is the transpirational pull which pulls the water upward. Transpirational pull. And this is the main factor which moves the water upward. Okay. There are three movements. One is root pressure, then capillary action, and then transpirational pull. Okay, which blood vessel link directly to the heart? And transport deoxygenated blood. Pulmonary artery and vena cava. They both contain deoxygenated blood. The only artery that contain the deoxygenated blood. Okay. The right side of heart is given, and there are two valves given, X and Y. This one is atrioventricular valve, right? And this one is pulmonary valve. So when the muscle contract, which is given over here, when the ventricle contract, what would happen? Would X open or remain closed? It would close. Well, X would close so that there won't be any backflow of blood, and Y would open because the blood has to go to lungs for oxygenation. Okay. Which component of blood stimulates the formation of fiber to help seal a wound? Platelets. Yes. Fibrinogen, and then fibrinogen, they produce insoluble fibrin that collects the red blood cells and calcium, and they form a scab. Okay. What is this process? Two things are going in and two other molecules are moving out. A very simple process is given. What process is this? This is aerobic respiration. Carbon dioxide plus glucose gives carbon dioxide and oxygen and glucose give carbon dioxide and water. Okay. 4 flasks are sterilized and set up, and there is a question related to anaerobic respiration. So, in which flask do you think where there would be the fermentation or anaerobic respiration? D, because it contains all the suitable conditions, the warm room, yeast, sugar, and water, the three things that are required. And whenever we ferment something, or even if we are making a pizza dough, we keep it at a room temperature instead of keeping it in a refrigerator. Okay, if a person is active or doing exercise, what do you think would be the reading or the volume of air in lungs? The breathing rate would increase, there would be more peaks, and more oxygen is inhaled in, or more volume of air is inhaled, so it would be B. This is again a repeated MCQ. Next one. Which graph shows the changes in urea and glucose in the blood during kidney dialysis? Okay, this is not part of the syllabus, but the answer is the kidney dialysis back. The glucose remains same. because it needs to be reabsorbed in the blood, right? While the urea needs to be removed.